And now these little, it's all very well doing this bit, that's quite easy, but then getting to these bits where it's the end grain, because this is the lie of the grain. So this is end grain here and end grain here. So it's much harder, and I'm cutting across the grain if I'm going this way. Whereas on here, I'm going with the grain, so it's much easier to.
So when you're going across
the
grain, would it be more likely to tear?
Yeah, it's more brittle. Yeah, which is what's just happened there.
Yeah.
But that's all right because it's that bit needed to go. And also, you've got this funny thing where carving it this direction gives a kind of finish with the light a certain way, but carving it from that direction gives a different
you can
finish,
actually
and
see,
depending on what light it's in, it shows up or it doesn't.
You can see a line there. I
Can
think
you?
that.
Yeah, I don't really want that. You see.
No.
I want
So you've got to
to
carve it all one direction, you mean?
Well, no, it'll get to a point where it's going against the grain there. So I've got to come that direction.
Oh, I see.
But I need to just ease it in from both directions until it gets a compromise that looks all right from all angles. So just shaving away.
Is that only walnut that gives that effect?
No, it does happen on other woods, and it's to do with how the fibres are lying. You know, when you're talking about the grain going this way, it's not all perfectly parallel in layers, it's doing all sorts, and the tree itself twists as it grows, so if you cut a plank from the top to the bottom, it's not going to have parallel layers of the grain in it. It's going to be shifting around with the growth of the tree. And then you've got branches that interrupt it. And
are there fewer branches on walnut than there would be on oak? Or
not necessarily, it depends on the tree. Walnut seems to be a little bit more straightforward, less character in the grain. But I mean, you don't get such massive trees in this country of walnut. You do in other parts of the world, but not here in GB.
And where's this bit of walnut from?
This is from Kate's mum's garden. This was growing between on her boundary, but had grown into the neighbour's garden. So, and was gradually getting lower and lower, sort of dying back. So, came to a point where if it did fall down, it would have made an awful mess in the neighbour's garden. So, it had to come down. But they're specialist trees. We don't have walnut forests, where in parts of Eastern Europe or parts of United States there are forests of walnuts.
You mean there are just individual walnut trees in the UK?
Yeah, they tend to be, people have planted them in the gardens as a specimen tree rather than growing wild naturally. Yeah, they, in parts of Eastern Europe, I think, I don't know whether they still do, used to have walnut harvests. So when the forests of walnuts produce their nuts, their harvest, the whole village would move to the forest and camp out for the harvest. So everybody, all generations, involved in collecting the walnuts because it's such a valuable crop. Making walnut oil and grinding it up for walnut flour. So, yeah. But they tend to be just ornamental in this country. See how fiddly just that little bit is? So I can't really see. See, bruised that bit now.
How many times would you end up going back over the same area?
Too many times. Loads. But this is the, you know, almost like you're nibbling away at it, because this is in the way as well. In an ideal world, now that support would be here and I'd be able to just have a clear run at this, but I'm working around this. But very soon I'm going to be cutting off that and that so I can get a better angle and carving this, but that means I'm going to have to support this between the jaws.
Yeah, you can't clamp too hard.
Yeah, because it would deform what you'd already carved. So I'm leaving it to for as long as I can, managing with these, but it's getting more and more of a compromise here.
How are you going to work out how close to go?
I'm going to go as close as I dare, because obviously the more I leave on, the more I've got to, the more I'll have to carve away. So I don't really want to give myself a lot to carve away, but I don't want to take too much off, so the perfect sphere is ruined. And all that, no, that's perfect, because I've got a minimum amount to have to carve off, but I've left enough for the perfect sphere to be there. You can really see when you look at it like that, the difference in the colour of how it's been worked. Can you see? It looks lighter there and darker that side.
Shinier this side, yeah, definitely. You can see that, yeah.
So I want to be able to ease that away so it's not such a dramatic change. That's good. Now I've just got those two bits to carve.